Hello everyone, welcome to our topic on writing objectives and learning outcomes for effective course writing in open and distance learning. In this topic, we will discuss how to craft measurable, targeted learning outcomes that not only guide your teaching but also enhance the learning experience of your learners. Whether you are a seasoned ODL expert or just starting out, this topic will provide you with actionable insights and examples to help you design outcomes that drive meaningful learning and keep your courses focused and engaging. Let's start by examining the concept of learning outcomes and see whether there is a difference between learning outcomes and learning objectives. Have you ever thought of what your learners will be able to do after reading a topic in your course material? Specifically, learning outcomes are the skills and knowledge that learners will be able to exhibit after instruction, as you can see in this picture on your screen. Learning is not directly observable, but can be inferred from performance. This makes learning outcomes an integral component of the instructional process. These learning outcomes are closely related to learning objectives with some subtle differences. So let's look at the differences between learning objectives and learning outcomes. As you can see on your screen, learning objectives are brief, clear statements that describe the specific knowledge, skills, values, and attitude learners should exhibit that reflect the broader goals. On the other hand, learning outcomes are the specific competencies and knowledge learners are to acquire and demonstrate after the instruction. I hope you can see the difference. Also, the learning objectives are specific statements of what is to be achieved from the teacher's point of view, whereas learning outcomes guide students' self-evaluation, so it's learner-centered. Okay, so you can see the other differences there. Just go through them and understand the differences between learning objectives and learning outcomes. So generally, you will observe that learning objectives are viewed from teachers' perspectives, while learning outcomes are outcomes-based. So let's look at how you can write learning outcomes using ABCD format. Now, the Bloom's taxonomy is frequently used by teachers in writing learning outcomes, as it provides a framework describing what learners will acquire after the learning process. So, writing acceptable learning outcomes begins with this framework, as you can see here. Please take note of the measurable verbs, the action verbs used at each level. As you can see, it's starting with remembering and it ends with creating. The cognitive abilities increase upward from remembering to creating. As a course writer, there's a need to ensure that your learners are able to develop both lower order cognitive abilities, which include remembering and understanding, and higher order cognitive abilities, that is, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Please note that only measurable verbs are used in certain learning outcomes. As you can see, the learning outcomes should be SMART. This implies that the learning outcomes should be specific, measurable, attainable, it should be relevant, and there should be time bound. These are the attributes of learning outcomes. However, the ABCD format is quite important in guiding the writing of learning outcomes. The components are audience, which is A, behavior, that is B, condition, that is C, and degree, as you can see on the screen. Look at this example, for instance. You can see by the end of the live session, your audience, that is you, will be able to demonstrate 4 steps in installing software on the computer. What it means is that by the end of this topic, for instance, you, that is the audience, that is A, will be able to demonstrate. That demonstrate is the behavior. That is what you want your learners to exhibit. That is B. 4 steps, that is the degree at which you want the demonstration to occur, of installing software on the computer. So you're not installing it on your phone, it's on the computer, and that is the condition. Just look at the other examples, and you will be able to set learning outcomes that follow ABCD format. In conclusion, it has been established in the literature that the path to a quality education begins with adequate quantification through learning outcomes. Therefore, I would like you to begin to think about how you will make your course writing development process effective for your learners by setting smart learning outcomes using ABCD formats. Thank you. I will see you next time.